Tonight, the BBC present the first of a series of live television broadcasts from the Channel Islands. The islands of Jersey, Guernsey, Alderney, Sark and Herm lie in the English Channel some 80 miles from the south coast and only 20 miles from France. Tonight we take you to the island of Herm, which is one of the smallest in the group. It is also one of the smallest inhabited islands in the British Commonwealth. So over now to our live outside broadcast cameras on the island of Herm.
This is Herm, from the air sprawling like a leopard skin on the polished floor of the still sea. A garden of the sea, a Shangri-La, a kingdom in miniature it's been called. But the map shows us that it's 1.5 by half a mile, less than a square mile. Away on the left, to the north, sandy beaches filled with shells. To the right, craggy inlets. In the centre, a hill with a manor house and the farm round it. And at the base, the harbour, through which all supplies come. Tonight it's low tide, and the area of the island has been added to considerably by the fringe of rocks we see as we look out towards Guernsey. Tomorrow the supplies will come in on the high tide, when the boat comes in and collects also the empties. Here is the only motorized transport on the island, for there are no roads, only paths. This is the taxi, the dumping truck, the bus, the do-all. And driving it is John Horn, who's ready to do anything. Let's go. He's going down to the Mermaid, the only tavern on the island, to collect the empties. Only 2 hours ago, visitors from Guernsey left the island. They come here by the hundreds, the thousands sometimes on a sunny day. At the crossroads they may pause for a moment to decide which way to go, but it doesn't really matter, because all ways lead eventually to the same place. It's only 3.5 miles all round. And coming up towards us is the tenant of the island, Peter Wood. He's been here 7 years since he first had the vision of starting a community and developing it and building it into a small world of its own. He's walking up towards the administrative office, town hall if you like. There he meets his brother Philip and George Lister, who balances the accounts, pays the bills and draws up the pay packets. They all have their business here, the islanders, and all work for the tenant and the future prosperity of the island. Peter and Philip first came here 7 years ago when, almost by accident, Peter met the man who owned the lease of the island, Mr. Jeffries, and wanted to sell it. He came, he arranged to rent it from the States of Guernsey, who had bought it from the Crown just after the war, and now he's trying to develop it into a community that will stand on its own. 40 people from 12 families now. This is the idea that Peter had when he first came here. Peter Wood and Philip, both New Zealanders, both wartime sappers. And Philip, as an engineer, has been a great help. Well, now, let's meet them. Hello, Peter and Philip. Come sit down and tell us about it.
Yes.
This wonderful idea that I suppose everybody's had at one time or other. They'd like to own an island, or at least to live on it and almost own it as you nearly do, don't you? When did it first come to you? How did it appear to you when you first saw it?
I think it measured up in every way, Max, to what one would believe a lovely island could. The weather was perfect, and Jenny and I, my wife and I, we got on a boat in St. Peter Port, fast boat. We came over here in the morning, about 11 o'clock in the morning. The tide was nicely up. We came into the harbour here and here. And it really was the most exciting thing, this island, to see its little hills and valleys and the woods. And we saw this, as we came over, we passed Brehon Town, the rocks, and that little pointed island, Crevichamp, and then we came past Jetu, where Sir Compton Mackenzie used to live, after he left this island, that was. He lived here first, and then he went to Jetu. And as I say, past all these little islands, Brehon Tower, which is an old fortification, and then we saw the whole panorama of Herm stretched out in front of us with its beaches, and it really was the most thrilling thing, Max. I shall never forget it. It's everything that one could believe coming to an island which you thought you might own could possibly be.
And for years, of course, it has been a private island. Prince Blücher had it, didn't he?
Yes, that is so, yes. Before the 1418 war, Prince Blücher had it. Between the wars, Compton Mackenzie and Lord Perry had it. And then in 46, the States bought it, and
yes,
with a view to throwing it open to Guernsey people and the tourists who come and have holidays in Guernsey, you see.
And you wanted others to share it with you?
Ah, yes. Well, that's how it struck us in the first case. There were buildings here, of course, but in a very dilapidated condition, and we thought, it seemed to Jenny and I, that it must be made a place where people could live in their own homes, a family place, a community place. That's the essential. That's exactly how it struck us.
That's where Philip as the engineer came in?
Yes. Yes, my brother asked me if I'd like to come over and join him, and of course the idea was thrilling.
What did you find here?
Well, the dilapidations were extensive, and it was very obvious that there was going to be a great deal of work to do before it would ever be possible to have a community living here, with repairs to the buildings, water services to do, there was the farming to improve, there was a beautiful 120-acre farm, and in every direction it seemed that we were going to be faced with years and years of very, very hard work.
What were your priorities, Peter?
Well, firstly, for the first 2 months, we had to look after the tourists. That was August and September of 1949, and then we got down to some serious thinking, and this idea of the community, it was always dominant. And it was obviously we had to rebuild houses. The first thing was houses. You couldn't expect people to come and live happily here in their families without proper accommodation. So houses,
let's get the relation right, then, of the houses, shall we? Because those you're looking at now are those down by the harbour, the hotel where we are, actually, at the moment, and the group of cottages round it. And then there's the other centre, the manor house up on the hill.
On the hill.
With all the buildings round it, and that's where you live, and where most of the work had to be done, in fact.
That's right, yes, because Mr. Jeffreys, the previous tenant who had it after the last war until we took it on in 1949, he had done quite a bit of work down here. But the cottages, very dilapidated. Now, there, for instance, this is a house at the top of the hill. It's my house. I've always lived there since we came here. And we've done some work this last winter in extending that. And that extension, that's the dining room window looking out across the garden.
Inside?
Yes, from inside, across the garden, across to Guernsey.
And now our film camera takes up the story.
You can see from here that this part of the house is old, but we have added on this porch, and in fact that window up there. Here's Barry, who's finishing off some painting work and generally this work on this porch. Now we'll go on down here. Come on, boy. Here, stop a boy.
Down here?
Yes, it's a bit steep, but let's see what happens. Careful as you go.
Yes.
We're now coming to the...
Do you think Staff will make good?
I think so. Come on, boy. Here, boy. Come on. Come on, here, boy. We're now coming to the end of the old manor house, which, as you can see, is getting pretty dilapidated.
Oh, word, yes.
But I think it's got to come down. I think the only sensible thing to do with it is to pull it down. Here, boy, come on. Come on, boy, come on.
Certainly is a sorry mess.
Now, this is the old ballroom. Quite no floor, you see, quite gone. And I think it's got to come down. There's no doubt about it at all.
Seems an awful pity. There's so much you could do with a room like this, brother.
Yes, but the cost involved in putting it in order is really more than one can contemplate. And I think that having regard for our requirements, I think to dispose of it completely. We don't want it, get rid of it.
Many people would have said just that about the farm area behind the old ballroom. But Peter Wood didn't. Instead, he put on new roofs, making them serviceable again, those buildings, and the battered row of cottages behind are now first-class homes for people like Paul Glay, his little daughter Paulette there, and his wife Denise. They're the only French family living permanently on Herm. Paul's from Brittany, and he earns his living on the land. He grows the vegetables and raises flowers for the hotel garden, a life that keeps him pretty fully occupied, and he obviously enjoys his work. Madame Glay, hanging out the washing behind there, is enjoying a gossip, as all good hangers out of washing do, with her neighbours, the Ray family. It's people like Mick and Bunty Ray who make the island community as solid as it is. Mick's pom-pom hat and sharp sense of humour go everywhere with him. In the evening, you may find them down on the beach collecting shells. Not a hobby, but every bit an essential job of work. For shells are the raw material for one of the island's basic industries. Shells by the million in as many different shapes and sizes. Here, in a small workroom, Bunty Ray and Jill Kendrick mould them into attractive figures to catch the eye of visitors in the gift shop down by the harbour. Just sea shells from the seashore, but a pretty high degree of workmanship, and Bunty isn't the only artist in the family. After the visitors have gone and they've closed the gift shop, Mick Ray collects the island clay and gets to work on his homemade potter's wheel. There's not much time for leisure on Herm. One job finished, and you'll soon find another to be done. Industry in the island's factory. Industry at home. Shawls, scarves, socks, woolen goods of all kinds come off this loom at an incredible rate. This is Nina, Peter Wood's sister-in-law, working in the kitchen of her small cottage. And it's easy to work with a view like this to look at. Every day, the small boats bring visitors across from the main islands. This is the Arrowhead ploughing into harbour on the evening tide, with skipper Len O'Brien bringing the Herm boat in across the narrow sea gap. He's always first in the morning and last out at night. Tonight his cargo's food for the hotel, a crate or two of beer for the pub, the latest papers, and of course the mail. Everything that comes to Herm comes by sea. On one boat bricks, on the next cement. Then the labour that'll build the bricks to replace crumbling walls and broken masonry. The basic needs of the island are still the essentials. These bricks will go below ground to form the outer shell of the new well. Soon there'll be ample water supplies for everyone. For on our holiday island, you need plenty of water for cups of tea, which Pat Lister sells in the hut at Belvoir Beach. Salt water's easy to find on Herm. Belvoir Bay is a sun trap with mile after mile of clear blue water. Much to admire and plenty of time to enjoy the scenery. But for the islanders, there's no time to waste. Here's Fanny Lister leading the new calf, or pulling it anyway. The latest addition this is to the herd of Guernseys that provide the milk supply. Sunday has a special place in the life of the island. On their way to morning service in the small stone chapel, they meet perhaps for the first time since last Sunday. They meet to talk and then to join together in worship. Indeed, on such an island, there's very much to be thankful for. This is Wood. I think her face tells you a great deal about the healthy, active life of the children. In church and in school, they're fully occupied with growing up. This is the junior class run by Mrs. Muttock. Her husband you saw playing the organ in church. He's also the farm foreman. And here's the senior school just before the lunch break. The classroom's bright and cheery with gaily decorated pictures prepared and drawn under the guidance of Mrs. Corbo. She's new to the island. She lives in a cottage right alongside the school and has no transport problem in the morning. break time at last, and what a perfect place to play in. Caves, cloisters, old ruins, an island paradise of open fields, rock pools, and 1,000 trees to climb. But sometimes you still need to mind how you go. It's quite a walk from the top of the island down to the harbour, and I found this truck a very convenient, if a little bumpy, means of transport. Peter Wood and I were on our way down to see the island's stores. That's where our live cameras will be taking up the story again in a few moments. We went down to the harbour, past the hotel there, and with a very smooth piece of road control, round the bend into the main yard of the stores. Here, food, wines and spirits, cigarettes, bread, milk, anything and everything that you may need on an island is stored, even the telephone exchange. Yes, there's a telephone link with the outer world. Above the roof there is the radio mast that transmits and receives a radio signal to and from Guernsey Telephone Exchange.
Well, the telephone, and I noticed that you've got it in every building, gives you communication, which is the basis of good organization, isn't it?
It is indeed. It's fundamental. But there's another aspect of the organization here, and that is the accountancy side of this business, Max. And we'll go down towards the administration office now, but there are two aspects of this question of the accounts here. One is the control of the business accounts, all the different businesses that are run here on the island, the hotel, the farm, the pub, the snack bar, the beach huts, boats and everything like that. But also I am, in a way, responsible to the States of Guernsey for the administration of public funds. I have roads which are used by the public to maintain, paths, I have the island to keep clean, the water supplies and things like that, and so that also in the administration office the very, very accurate accounts have to be kept, not only of the businesses but also of the public funds, you see.
Yes, you've got a twofold accountancy,
yes,
really.
Yes, indeed I have. And George Lister, he in fact, here he is now.
Hello, George and Pat.
I'll go and, whilst we're talking to him, I'll go and see what Jenny's doing. Right?
Right, thanks awfully. Yes, I'd like to see her. Well, now, I gather that you are, if I may put it this way, the spider at the centre of the web here, George. Right?
I didn't call a lot of things, Max. That's a new one.
Well, whatever they call me, Max, on payday, they're very, very polite indeed.
How many accounts have you got? I've got some impression already.
Well, we have the trading departments, first of all. We've got an hotel and a pub, a snack bar and a gift shop, a farm and the gardens, and last but not least, we have a beach hut.
Well, we saw Pat doling out the
Where you
country
saw
here.
Pat,
Well,
yes.
our bear of work is a pleasure.
Does she bring back enough money for you?
Well, never enough, but she does very well, very well indeed.
You've got to watch the island's economy and see what's losing and what's gaining.
Oh yes, it is important to keep strict accounts about of all the activities of the island, apart from the trading departments, which we hope will make sufficient profit to pay for the other services. We've got to keep cost of the other services, the water supply, the sewage.
Right. Well, are you turning the corner, would you say?
Oh, I think we are, yes. I think we are.
You feel you can look forward to some degree of prosperity?
I always was very optimistic. I'm quite optimistic about this.
Now, you've had a lot of hard work here, both of you, all the islanders, in fact.
Yes.
Has it come up to your original dream, shall we say, when you came here?
Yes, I think so. Yes.
What are you aiming at?
Well, I think it is that we follow Peter's ambition, which is to make a place of beauty, to commercialise it just enough to make
Yes.
it economically possible.
There's that point about it. Put it the other way around. I think a high-powered commercial organisation would have no fears at all about the economic situation, but the charm which we've got here would have gone completely. We wouldn't have Herm if we had that sort of organisation working here.
And the piece of it, which so many people are looking for.
That's the
these
first
days.
thing strikes you.
Yeah.
Yes, undoubtedly, and a very fine way of life. A hard-working way of life, but I think lots of people have too much
leisure. What about the winter?
The winter's too short, all round.
Yes, we really become human in the winter and enjoy our family life. And
We all are
all
family
those
people,
things.
you understand, Max. After all, you've seen all the children on the island, haven't you?
Yes, indeed, but the days don't get too long.
No, never.
No.
You don't feel you want to get off it?
No, we don't.
That's interesting.
All too short.
Well, thank you. You've given me a feeling of what goes on here. Bill, please.
Well, we see you at the
Mermaid, yes.
yes.
Fine.
Bill, we'll have a word with you if you don't mind. Bill Roberts, who pretty well runs the hotel in company with
Teresa, who does the other half,
Yes,
doesn't
she's
she?
the receptionist, yes.
Well, now, what does your job imply?
Well, running of the bar, and the 2 bars actually, the wine cellars, and the whole of the bottom half of the hotel, you know, sort of all the, anything that has to be done to keep the guests comfortable and that sort of thing, you know, and I try and do my best with it.
You turn your hand to anything and
Yes.
not worry about the union or anything like that?
Oh, no, definitely not. You couldn't afford this here.
You couldn't?
No.
Well, let's wander up towards the hotel, shall we,
Yes,
Bill?
certainly.
Your voice tells me that you didn't come from here, I feel.
No, actually, I'm a North countryman.
Where from?
Yorkshire.
Yorkshire?
Yorkshire, yes.
A lot of Yorkshire people here, the listers are, aren't they?
Yes, George is from Hull, and from
Yes.
Keighley, not so close, but
Is
close
that just
enough.
a coincidence?
Oh, yes, I'd never met George or his wife or anything before I came here.
What do you do in the winter here?
Well, last year we decided we were going to move the bar, which we did, which I was more or less...
Who decided?
Well, it was a decision made, as we all do on the island, you know, these things, everyone comes into it.
They just come about sometimes,
Yes,
do they?
yes. So, it finished up, I built a new bar altogether out of, bits and pieces found on the island, you know. There's no new stuff attached to it or anything like that. It was just one of those things we...
Have you been a builder at all?
No, never.
But
no.
you are now.
Well, amateur.
You'll tell it.
Well, yeah, you have to, you see. I mean, this building and so forth, we do it all ourselves, all the time. And I've been taught an awful lot since I've been here. But if you'll excuse me, Mr. Oakson, I must go because I have some thirsty people in the bar.
Okay, Bill, I've seen you shaking that too. You do it well. Well, I think you'll gather from what Bill and a few other people have told you that this place holds great charm. None the least the latest born Rosemary here. Hello, Jenny.
Hello, Max.
It's 5 weeks to the day, isn't it, since
That's
Rosemary
right,
appeared
yes,
on the
5
scene?
weeks ago
In fact,
today.
last time we were here filming.
That's right, yes.
Yes. Come sit down, can you? You safe on here with Rosemary, do you think?
Yes, I think so.
And here are 2 more of your brood.
Yes.
Simon, the eldest. Right, Simon? Come round here, Simon. Here, where we can... And face this way, would you like to? Good.
Please.
We may hear the odd little noise from Rosemary. She's sweet. She really is.
Cute, isn't she?
Well, you know, having all these children, don't you ever feel isolated here?
No, I don't think I do, really,
Don't
Max.
feel worried
no.
about it?
No, I don't. We have the radio telephone, and
Yes.
we find it a great...
When Rosemary was
help.
born, how quickly did you get the doctor over?
I suppose it was about 3/4 of an hour from call, really. Yes.
That's pretty good.
Yes, it's a great comfort to know that that can happen.
We've
Very
seen them
quickly.
at school. Do you think the education here is sufficient for them and the competition?
Yes, I think it is. I think one thing they do here is they grow up very independent, the children. They always plenty to amuse them. We don't have to think of amusements and how to keep them occupied.
What do you like doing, Simon?
Well, for the reading books often. I'm in the middle of a book at the minute.
Oh, yeah? What is it?
What do you call it? Something with the adventure book, one of the adventure books.
You like adventures?
The Mountain of Adventure.
I see. You like adventures, do you?
Yes.
You can play plenty of adventures here, can't you? You've got everything on this island.
Not really, no, I wouldn't say quite right.
Wouldn't you?
No.
You've got an island to yourself and you can't find adventure.
I thought we want to make a
Exploring
swing.
anyway, don't you, Sam?
We often explore, yes.
Yeah?
We want to make a swing, and I said, I wish we could have an adventure. An adventure never comes.
Penny, come on, you're looking
And then
forward,
there's
yes?
Fanny and
Come here.
Joe's.
Come and join in. This way. Yes. Now, what do you like doing?
I like playing.
I bet you do, yes. I've seen you playing, too. Who do you like playing with most on the island? Simon?
No.
Not Simon. Does Simon bully you?
He certainly does.
Does he? Do you bully him? You little brute.
When she kicks me at the table.
When she kicks you, you bully her.
At the table.
Oh, at the table.
Breakfast and dinner and tea.
I know. Sisters can be awful teasers. I suffer
I
that
know.
way. Well, now, Jenny,
Joe's all right.
you've got a handful with your 6. We've only seen 3 of them here. But I have noticed that everybody in this island does something for the community. Do you have time to?
Yes, I look after the deal with the correspondence, our own local stamps we have here. We've got we're about to bring out a 4th issue. We've had 3 issues already, and we're just going to bring out a 4th issue. And this one's going to depict the history of Herm. It's going to show Neolithic men, and it's we get orders from all over the world for these stamps.
They collect them
They do
as
seem
rarities,
to
eh?
interest collectors very much. Yes.
And that shell brooch you're wearing, did you help make it? Because I know they make a lot
No,
of
I
it.
didn't do it.
You didn't?
Most of the shell, in fact, all the shell was work is handled almost entirely by Bunty Ray and Jill and others on the island, mostly during the winter.
They sell them down in the gift shop.
And they sell them down in the gift shop, yes.
Yes, well, we'll go down there now. Thank you very much. There is the gift shop window, and you can see some of these shelves inside. A couple of ashtrays there. All sorts of lovely figures they make. You saw them too earlier in our film. And there, Mick Ray, who makes pottery too, and his wife, Bunty, just locking up for the evening. They have no set hours here. You don't just close the shop on a dead hour. You close it when the visitors go. And Jill Kendrick, of course. Oh, and Jill's carrying her cage with her budgerigar, Pippi. He comes down to spend the day with her here, and then she takes him back at night. But they're going back via the Mermaid, and the whitewashed cottages you see on the right there used to be barracks, when a section of the militia were stationed here. They're very nice, whitewashed, with light blue reveals and pink and wine-coloured doors, very attractive indeed with the trees fringing them. And then they're going on to the Mermaid Tavern. It's the only pub on the island, and it's here that the islanders gather, mixing with visitors, to relax and sing.
We're all in the old typhoon, but the old typhoon will sing too soon. For we never go to heaven in the old typhoon, but the old typhoon will sing too soon. I ain't gonna breathe my Lord no more. I ain't gonna breathe my Lord. I ain't gonna breathe my Lord. I ain't gonna breathe my Lord no more. I never go to heaven. I never go to heaven. In the arrowhead. In the arrowhead. Cause the arrowhead. Cause the arrowhead is all in bed. I never go to heaven in the arrowhead. Cause where no crime is drilled in bed. I ain't gonna breathe my Lord no more. I ain't gonna breathe my Lord. I ain't gonna breathe my Lord. I ain't gonna breathe my Lord no more. Place a bottle of beer. Place a bottle of beer. At the foot of my bed. At the foot of my bed. If I don't drink, you'll know I'm dead. You'll know I'm dead. Place a bottle of beer at the foot of my bed. If I don't drink, you'll know I'm dead. I ain't gonna breathe my Lord no more. I ain't gonna breathe my Lord. I ain't gonna breathe my Lord. I ain't gonna breathe my Lord no more.
Len O'Brien, strumming the guitar there, is always at the centre of things. In just about an hour's time, he'll be taking the Arrowhead back to Guernsey. And the islanders, well, they'll gradually begin to drift back to their homes, though they're not particularly early to bed here. After all, there's no reason why they should be. And so, one way and another, we've met all 40, or with Rosemary is it 41, members of the island community. Here they are, just once again in the first complete group ever taken, especially for you tonight. And you know, I like to think that perhaps this is a historic photograph. For these families are building on very new foundations. They've no traditions either to inspire them or to inhibit them, especially the children you see there. And the grown-ups, do you recognize them again? Coming as they have from widely different jobs and places, drawn together by this idea of a community of families, giving a new purpose and life to this island. I wonder how many of us feel envious of the Woods. Here's the whole family, as we look at them at this moment. They're the first to admit it's a good life on the island, but the last to let it be an easy one. This, then, is Herm. Once a monastery, then a private pleasure place, and now the adventure of 40 people and an island.